everyone, it's Margaret with Creative Stamping with Margaret. Thanks for joining me today. Our card today features the online and exclusive stamp set, Simply Sparkling. This is from the May 2024 card class. In our card class this month, we've used all online exclusive stamp sets. So let's get started. And while I'm pulling the materials over that we're going to need, why don't you take a minute and go ahead and subscribe to my channel? I would really appreciate that. So for our card base, we are using the new in color Peach Pie. Don't you just love that color? If you've been followed Stampin' Up a while, you know they used to have a Mango Melody. This is a little bit softer color than that, but in that same hue, and I really like that color. We'll also need 2 pieces of Night of Navy. You'll need a piece of basic white for the interior. Then we're going to have a piece of basic white that we will attach our can to. You'll need a piece of the Designer Series paper, and the one that I'm using for this can is from the Unbounded Beauty, which is a new Designer Series paper in the new annual catalog. You'll need a scrap of silver foil and then a scrap of white, and that's for you to stamp the bubbles on as well as the word friend. Now there are other sentiments or other names or words, I should say, that are in the stamp set other than friend. You could use pop or birthday wishes or just leave it blank. But those are the materials that we're going to need. We're also using the 2024 in color shimmer gems. The 2 stamping ink colors that we're going to be using are Peach Pie and Night of Navy. And then on my sample card, I actually die cut the front panel using the Radiated Stitches Dies. Well, lo and behold, I realized after doing so that those dies have been retired. So in its place, I suggest you use the Deckled Rectangles or another die that you would like that would give you a nice base to put that on. And I will list a couple alternatives in the description below of this video, because that's where you'll find all of the materials that we're using on today's card. So let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is use that stitched rectangle, and I'm using the next to the largest to die cut that. But so you're not waiting while I go to my die machine. I have jumped ahead and already prepared that. I have also used the soda can. Let me show you the dies from the set we're using. We're using the soda can. That is to cut that designer paper. To cut the silver foil for the top. You could also use smoky slate would look good if you don't have the foil. And this piece cuts the top, the bottom, and the little tab. And then there is a tiny rectangle die for you that will fit around the words. And then, of course, we have our bubbles that will cut after they're stamped. And then that was the radiating die that I used. So we'll pull this in and we'll start layering up our card. And I will show you how I finished the interior of the card as well. So we are putting our Night of Navy front panel on. And then you have a second Night of Navy, and this is for the interior of the card. As you will see, I'm using from the stamp set. It has this little bubbly stamp. I stamped it across the top and the bottom, and then stamped your Simply Sparkling for the inside of the card. And I'll show you how I went about doing that when we get to doing the inside. Then we can go ahead now and add our white panel on the front. Then we'll put our soda can together. This card really does come together quickly. What takes the greatest amount of time is the die cutting that would be taking place. So I'm going to pull in my silicone mat. As you see, I've already stamped and die cut the bubbles. And on the back, I have added the mini dimensionals. So here we have our soda can. We'll put the bottom on. And I'm putting this on before I stamp only because I want to make sure that I get the placement correct for my words. This is a really cute set. There's lots of different ways you could make this can. In the stamp set, it also has a stamp where you can stamp it. And for my soda pop top, the little tab, I'm going to take and roll, just take a mini glue dot, and I'm rolling it up some to place on there, just to sort of hold that up. Because if you notice, you know how a soda pop, the top is, once you pop it, it doesn't really lay flat. So I just thought I would use a little bit of a glue dot, and by rolling it, yeah, it keeps it lifted, and I push it to hide it in there. We have assembled our soda can. And now I'm pulling in the Night of Navy, and I'm using the Best Ever stamp set, or stamp from the set. I love that, the way the font that they use on that. Can use it on a lot of different cards, not ones that are just using the soda can. And you notice I've left room at the bottom to put our Sentiment Friend. So that will go there, which I have put 2 little mini dimensionals on the back of that. So for the soda can, I'm keeping it flat. If you wanted, you could put it up on dimensionals, but since I have other portions that are lifted, I decided to leave this flat and attached, so that it's flat on our panel. Let me get the back off of this mini dimensional. And before I go any further, I'm going to move this blue before I put my hand in it. Now I have the back off of the mini dimensionals so that I can add our bubbles to our can. Now for the interior of the card. So what I did was, there is a stamp in the set called "You're So Delightful." Well, I only wanted the word "your." So you have a couple options. You can put tape, or you can use a Post-it note to cover it so that you don't ink that up. So you just mask that off. But I found, with it being the clear photopolymer, it was just as easy to pick up the color on the stamp. And for that, I'm using our peach pie. But you can see, you can just line that right on that corner, and I'll show you here. You just get the one word. And as I mentioned, you could mask that off if you don't feel comfortable doing that, if you wanted to replicate the sentiment that I'm using. And then this Simply Sparkling is a stamp from the set also. So I'm able to, and I'm going to have to pull this down if it's out of camera. I'm sorry, but I need to stand over it to make sure I get it straight. There. And then to embellish the rest of it, I took, as I mentioned earlier, this that looks like bubbles, and I like to start in the middle. It doesn't have to be exactly in the middle, and then work my way across. And I did the same at the top. And if you wish, you can also do that across the front of your envelope. That's what I did on the sample here. So there again, I started about midway and then just stamped across like I did for this interior panel. So now we will layer this. But I love this peach, so many colors. It looks great with so many colors. Not obviously with this Night of Navy. It also looks good with the some of the other in colors. The Shamrock, Shy Shamrock. It really looks great with that. So we have completed assembling our card. All we have left to do is add a couple embellishments. And I'm using the in color embellishments as well. So now we have completed our Simply Sparkling Best Ever Friend card. As I mentioned earlier, this is an online exclusive stamp set. So if you're interested in that stamp set, You will not find it in a catalog, so go online and look in the Stampin' Up section that has online exclusives. This is Margaret Knight. Thanks for joining me for thanks for joining me for this card. Sorry about that. I just had a blank in my brain. But while you're at it, please go ahead and subscribe, and I would love it if you would like this video as well. So check out the other videos featuring the online exclusives from the May 2024 card classes. Thank you.